Hi, ladies. So excited to have you on today's episode of I Start First podcast because I know how shy and insecure we are sometimes about money. And I cannot imagine anyone better talking about money today than a woman who's built successful company with her husband that's been featured in Inc. magazine as in the top 500 fastest growing companies. She has real estate in 24 states, and she is an expert on anything investment and money. So stay tuned for my conversation with Kara Ayala. Hi, loves. Welcome to I Start First podcast, the show for boss babes who start ideas, businesses, dreams, and lifestyle. I'm your host, Alenka Cullinan, founder of I Start First, speaker, author, and business coach, aka Queen of Pushing Boss Babes Off the Ledge. On this show, I chat with epic humans who are guaranteed to up-level your business and mindset. Are you ready to sparkle up? Let's go. Hello, ladies, and welcome to another episode of I Start First podcast. I am so excited because here's what. You've all heard me talk for the whole 2019 about money and how important it is to understand numbers, understand what creates abundance, deal with it, own it, be proud of it, because it's just another vehicle. So today, I couldn't be more excited to bring you a great friend, a total boss diva, and I don't know. She's everything money and then some. She understands abundance. She's done it all. So please help me welcome Kara Ayala. Hi, Kara.
Hi, Olenka. Thank you so much for having me on. I love your message and what you speak to women. It's amazing.
Thank you. Well, likewise, that's why you're here. So tell them a little bit more, tell them a little bit of your story and what prompted you to step into owning it and, empowering more women to really own their money and investments.
Yeah. So actually, Mike and I got married really young. That's my husband. We were in our early 20s and we didn't really have much money. We both had really low paying jobs, and our son actually had to have surgery when he was 1 month old, and we had to spend a month of his life. He was in the hospital for a month, and we didn't have any income coming in, and because we weren't working. So we were trading our time for money at that time. And so when we weren't working, we weren't getting any money coming in.
Yeah.
So that was the first clue to us that we needed to change some things in our lives. And then fast forward about 2 years later, he was working out of town a lot, probably my whole pregnancy with my last child. And we just thought, if we are going to be putting this much time and effort into this, we should do our own thing. We opened our own business, and that's when we opened our own plumbing and HVAC company. And through the process, I don't know how far you want me to go down this.
However you want to.
Okay. Through the process, a couple of years in, we hired a coach because we didn't know what we were doing, as you don't know when you first open a business. And the coach asked us a question that really opened our eyes. And he said, if your business isn't giving you what you want personally, then you just own a job. And we were like, wow, that just really opened our eyes, because we really were, we did our own business, but we were owning a job. We were still trading our time for money. We still were tied to it. So that's when we began investing in real estate. And we just started really researching and reading and studying about how we could make extra income on top of our business. So we started investing in properties, and then we ended up selling our business in 2014. And now all we do is invest in properties. So
wow, that's incredible. So, I want to point out a couple of things that Kara just brought up. One is that if your business is not giving you what you want, you are just same thing, you own in a job. That is so huge and important. I think as business owners, a lot of us, one, we are so excited about building something of our own because we want that freedom, right? But then we forget that that freedom is only going to be there if you actually create it. Otherwise, you're just building yourself a job outside of outside of an institution, outside of a big corporation. So that is huge. And also the fact that you guys were essentially self-taught, right? I mean, with
Yes. Yes.
starting out and going and taking that huge leap, I mean, that's incredible. So for all of you ladies who are listening, don't feel that you need like that's something special or a moment. There's no moment. You can go get started and start reading and learning. And, especially today when we have extra of information on everything. But I
Yes.
want to come back to something, Kara, what you just said. So, and I mean, she's being super humble, basically, for everybody who is listening. One, their company was doing incredible things before they sold it. And also, how many states do you guys own real estate in?
14 right now. Yes.
So
Yes.
14 states of real estate. So don't be fooled by her sweet demeanor. She definitely knows what she's doing in business. So Kara, as a woman, right? I mean, obviously you've seen, you didn't come in into wealth. You've seen this whole process of building it. How, a lot of women, I think their first initial thing is, one, I don't know enough about it, and two, well, I am a mom and a wife, and you are a
Right.
mom and a wife. So tell them what it's like to balance, and can it be done?
Yes, absolutely. It can be done. And I think that you should absolutely be involved. I think a lot of women just ignore the finances and let their man take care of it. And, we don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if he's going to be there later on, if he could die in a car wreck tomorrow. You don't know what's going to happen. And if you don't know what's happening with your finances and you're not involved, then what are you going to do at that point? So I always, always suggest that women be very highly involved in their finances, whether they want to own their own business, whatever they're doing, that they're very involved in their finances.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I mean, you guys have how many kids?
3.
So 3 kids, ladies, and she's still managing. She's still a part of the business. She still knows what's happening. She's now empowering more women to understand how money works. So don't make all those things, the mom, the wife, and the partner, as excuses, right? You can be empowered by that. And if anything, I'm sure, Kara, you're a great role model for your kids too, right? Because they're learning by looking at you being involved into business also. And so it's a huge thing for them to see both parents involved. So what are some messages? Like, what are some, if you were given some maybe tricks, not necessarily tricks, but like some tips for women to pay attention with finances, or maybe how to, if they've never done it, like how do they even get started? Because I'm sure they're like sitting there terrified right now, listening
Yes.
to you going, good for you. You just know all of it already. So give them
Yes, I
some
think
pointers.
yes. So I think the biggest thing is just, I mean, like you said, you just have to take that first leap and have to just take that first step. But I mean, find mentors and find coaches. Like you, for example, Lenka, like there are so many people out there that have services. And I mean, that's something we have always, always invested in is good mentors and good coaches and joined awesome masterminds. I think that's actually where I met you, is at a
Yeah.
mastermind.
Yeah.
And there's so much resource out there in the world. And if you're going to start anywhere, you need to start just investing in yourself and investing in your mindset about money. So that would be my first suggestion, is to go and find places that you can begin investing in yourself. Because Dr. Jade Tata, he always says, we know what we know, right? Like we know the things that we know, and then we know what we don't know. But then there's also those things we don't know what we don't know.
That's true.
So if we don't know what we don't know, we have to start just digging in. So find some things that are interesting to you. There's so many ways to make money. And I know probably a lot of people that follow you are probably starting out in businesses
Yeah.
and taking that leap of faith, and just not forgetting that that's not the end point. Like opening your business is great, but that's not the end point. When you start making money, start setting aside a portion of that money every month, and start when it's small, because it's going to be a lot harder to make that leap. If you can start setting aside that 10% of your income that's just for you. So I always say, like, invest 10% of your money for you.
Yeah.
It's yours and it's yours to keep. I learned this in a book, The Richest Man of Babylon. So that is yours to keep, but that doesn't mean you go buy cars and you don't go buy shoes with that. That's for you to invest in. So you would use it to invest in things that are going to bring cash flow to you. So maybe you save up a little bit, and maybe it takes you a while because you're starting out small, but then you find something you can invest it in. And as you invest in that, you still keep taking that 10% even off of that. And then you can see how it will compound, because it becomes bigger and bigger and bigger because you're continually investing in something that's bringing you cash flow.
Love it. No, these are both such great tips. I mean, yes, the books, the information, the videos. I mean, you can even be parts of Mastermind online where you can be in your
Yes.
pajamas and never leave. I mean, absolutely. And finding, like you said, finding experts, people who have done it already and learning from them. And now we have no shortage of courses and really at all levels of monetary investment. It doesn't always have to be expensive. You can start, like you said, start small. It's taking 10% and saving that to invest, but also, maybe you take a small course, or maybe you do a little seminar, and then as
Yes.
you grow in, you go and find bigger things. Because to me, it's, but I do want to bring up one question, because I know there are hundreds of women who are listening right now thinking that, you did say at the beginning that you have to invest in you. And you and I had these conversations before, but women feel so guilty investing in themselves for whatever reason. Have you dealt with that guilt, and what's your sort of remedy to
Oh
fix
gosh, mom guilt. Mom guilt is
it?
the
Yeah.
worst. I don't
Yes.
know. It's like just built in us to serve people.
Yeah.
But I mean, we have to take that time for ourselves. And, it goes to all sorts of areas of our life, our health. We have to pour back into our health, our mental health. That's probably one of your biggest strengths
Yeah.
that you're going to have. And especially if you're going to step out and to open new businesses, you have to have a very strong emotional intelligence. So you have to really work on that. So, I just feel like there's no excuse to not set aside an hour a day to invest back into yourself. It's not always like going and getting your nails done either. It's things like going to therapy or meditating and journaling and pouring back. We don't even sit still anymore. Like, when was the last time most women sit still
All right.
and really listen? We don't even know what our spirit is wanting or
Mhm.
needing because we don't take time to even
Absolutely.
hear that voice. So I think that would be my biggest piece of advice for that, is you have to take time for that, or your kids and your husband and your business and everything is going to go, it's going to go to the side, because you have to pour into your vessel first.
Yeah, no, I love it. It's so, so true. And yes, we all struggle with it, but it's like you're saying, even if you start with 1 hour, I mean, pick that 1 hour and just make
Yes.
it non-negotiable. Because so many times I literally talked to one of my clients a couple of days ago, and she's been running her business for 8 years. And she said, "Do you know that I've been in it for 8 years, and just last year, for the first time, I did Sunday Fun Day once, where I went to the movies and we went and got brunch." And I mean, it was so sad, because she's very successful. She does incredible things in the community for herself, for her family. So we forget sometimes as women that, yes, we cannot be running on fumes or on empty forever, because I mean, essentially, it's like you said, it's all going to catch up to you. It's going to affect the very people you want to serve, your husband, your partner, your kids, whoever that is. So you are in real estate, which is sort of an unknown area to a lot of people. And I think especially women shy away from that a lot. There are a lot of women who are realtors, but definitely not a lot of women who are on the investor side, or sort of like dabbling into learning about it. Um, what is it like for you to be in that circle where it's very male dominant, being a woman in those groups?
Um, well, I don't know. I don't, there is definitely a limited amount of women in
Mhm.
there, but I don't think that should hold anybody back. Um, Investing in the reason I love investing in real estate is because it is a real asset. It's something you can go to your bank and say, "Hey, I have this piece of property. Can you loan me money?" And they will.
Mhm.
So there's other investments that you can make, like say stocks. You can't bring your stocks to the bank. They're not going to lend you any money, or even sometimes businesses, because our business, depending on, you have to prove that it's worth what you think it's worth
Yeah.
for them to loan you money on your business.
All
So
right.
that's why I love real estate, because you can use that as leverage to invest in other things. And it's something that if you buy and hold, it stays true to what it is. So I love And there's so many benefits. There's tax benefits for investing in real estate. So that's why I love real estate, but there's so many other ways to invest as well.
Yeah, no, I love it. It's so true. I mean, yes, that value that it holds, I mean, it's pretty extraordinary and it stays with you, and yes, you can absolutely use it as an asset, so you can use it to leverage it in so many other ways. I love that, but I'm sure again, a lot of women who are listening to this are going, "Well, but I don't have thousands of dollars, Kara. I can't go and
Yes.
get a huge loan. So,
Yes.
where do I go with this?"
Okay. So my biggest piece of advice is going back to the beginning is to invest in yourself. Find somebody who's done it and ask them to mentor you, ask them to coach you. There's all kinds of programs out there, and start reading. So if you really want to get into real estate, like it's not, I mean, it's simple, but it's not easy. So I'm not going to say that it's an easy thing to do. You
Yeah.
have to definitely, put your head down and learn about it. So I would say start reading books and start listening to things. I mean, I can give you a couple books that we can
Yeah.
put in the show notes that would be
Mhm.
good starting points for people to start reading, and then finding um, places for them to plug into as far as like masterminds or
Yeah.
groups, because really that's where they're first going to have to start. And then setting aside that nest egg of and starting like this is my investment, this is what I'm going to start investing. And then there are options. There's so many people that will do owner carries. So once you start studying it and learning about it, I mean, that's what we did. We were like, we're going to buy 2 properties a year for the next 10 years, and that was going to be our retirement. Well,
Mhm.
when you set that intention out there, it comes in a lot quicker. So
Yeah.
the first year we had our first 2 properties, but we didn't have a lot of cash at that time. And once you start opening that up and you start looking, you'll be surprised at the deals that start coming into because you're looking, you're
Yeah.
searching for them.
Yeah.
And there's so many people that will do owner carries. That's how we got into our first.
And Kara, can I just have you explain to everybody owner carries, just because not everybody's familiar with that term?
Yes. So an owner carry is where if you're going to purchase like a home from somebody, like I'll give an example of our first one. Our first one was somebody who it was actually a mobile home, and they didn't want it anymore, but they were stuck. So they were like, we will carry this. So that means we didn't have to go get a loan from the bank. We had to just pay them. So we gave them $5,000 down, and then we made them the monthly payments on their terms until it was paid off. So nothing was tied to us in our credit. It wasn't making our credit go down or anything like that. It was just tied to that person. And there's a lot of people who don't really care about getting the big chunk of money out as long as they're
Yeah.
not having to make that payment anymore.
That's awesome. No, that's a great, I mean, I hope ladies take a note of that, because that is a great avenue to start earlier. It's like Kara said, you set that intention and
Yes.
things start coming into your life, but that also allows you, with not a lot of cash up front, to get into some potentially really incredible deals that will sort of be the foundation for your future investments, as I'm sure your first 2 properties served as a foundation.
Yes, yes. And then it just grows, because as your first one might be really small, but as you keep doing that nest egg, it grows and grows and grows. And then you're able to do bigger deals, and your knowledge grows
Right.
along with that, which is the most important, because that's what's going to take you to the next level. And, you might do deals with other people and invest with other people. And your knowledge brings expertise to the table as well. So just getting in there, if this is something you're interested in, and learning is going to be your biggest tool that we have. We just underestimate our minds so much and what
Yeah.
we can offer.
No, it's so true. And I think, yes, I think a lot of it comes with, especially for women, it's that fear, like, I don't have the cash. Where am I going to get? Like, I can't
Yes.
afford this. And the can't afford it limitation holds you so much from learning. It holds
Yes.
you from meeting people. It holds you, it's like basically your own self limitation of your worth and what you're capable on essentially is holding you back from everything that's open out there. And yes, it's absolutely crazy how lack of knowledge sometimes lead us to build walls that don't even exist in the first place. And so, ladies, I want to also sort of emphasize what Kara said earlier when she said, you do have, it's simple, but it's not easy. Just like nothing is easy. But building your business is not easy. Being a
Right.
mom is not easy. Being a wife is not easy. So to me, anything you do is not, if you want to do a great job with it, it's not going to be easy. So you'll have to learn, you'll have to grow. And I love that you said, as you grow and your knowledge base grows, and now you're serving it as using it as your expertise, which now allows you to be an expert, right? So now you, having learned so many things and done so many deals, now you can serve as an expert to so many other women, explaining to them and inspiring them, and really encouraging them to step into that arena. So if there are women out there, since we're talking about money, I mean, debt is a big thing, and unfortunately a lot of people feel very sort of I would say debilitated by that. Like
Right.
when debt starts piling up, we just shrink up, we play small, we're scared. Can
Yes.
you give some ideas on like how to deal with it? What are some options, or some ways to look at it differently, perhaps too?
Yes. And I love you were talking a little bit ago about just like, I can't afford that word, that
Yeah.
statement.
Yes.
I just want to go back to that really quick
Yeah. No.
because
Sure.
that is like the foundation is your mindset. And if you're saying things like that, you're never going to go further down there. So that's where you're going to have to start is right. I'm sorry, Alinka. So you'll have to start right there with the mindset. And then with debt, that's all mindset as well. So debt is a good thing and a bad thing. Debt for things that you're consuming is bad. So cars, shoes, purses, all the things that we're like, oh, I really want that
You're
because
crushing
so-and-so's
their
wearing
dreams.
it.
You're
That is
crushing
the
their
bad debt. I know. But I promise you, you'll be able to buy all the shoes and all the cars and
Yes.
everything you want if you do these steps first.
Okay.
But if you can use debt and use it to leverage and make cash flow coming in. So if you borrow money against a cash flowing property that's actually bringing you in money, it's not only paying you, say, $500 extra a month, but it's also paying down your mortgage. So there's so many benefits to it because you're not actually paying that debt. Your tenants are paying that debt down. So they're paying your debt down and you're getting creating cash flow. And as soon as your debt is paid, then your cash flow is even bigger. So I think like it's really important to determine like the good debt versus bad debt.
Mm.
Good debt is going to be putting cash flow into you. It's something you can leverage to build your wealth, whereas bad debt is something that is taking cash from you. Even our homes, like that's something that we're taught to go buy a home, like get a go to school, get a job, then you buy a home. And why? Like, what is the point of that? If you want to buy a home, that's great, but that's not an asset. And you can't count that as an asset because it's not bringing any cash flow into your household.
Yeah, no, I love. Oh my God, you just literally like blew some minds over there with people thinking, what? What do you mean it's not an asset? Everybody says we have to get one, which in reality, if you get a house and Airbnb it, or use it as a rental or whatever, it actually is bringing
Yes.
cash flow to you. So in that case, you can count it as an asset. But yes, it's so, oh gosh, it's, you had some really great points there, but I love the mindset. So I do want to talk about that more because I 100% agree with you. Money mindset for most people, women, whoever, is kind of our biggest, I think, holding factor. And it
Yes.
definitely affects us so, so much. But I mean, I'm sure you have moments and had, especially in the past, moments where you questioned what you're doing. I'm sure you
Oh,
guys had
yes.
moments with kids being little, with unexpected situations happen and things happening maybe with properties or things breaking down where you're like, what am I doing? Like, am I doing this right? Is this really going to pay off? So when everything comes crashing and burning, where do you look to kind of like get yourself back up?
That's a great question. So I wasn't raised with money, so I didn't have like a mindset of that money was abundant. I didn't have that mindset, and I didn't realize that you could create money until we opened our first business. And then I was like, oh, we actually create this. Like we're providing a service, so
Yeah.
it's all about the value that you're providing that is going to bring that money in. So like changing your mindset. But then there are going to be the times where things are like, oh gosh, like, but this is what I have to, in the beginning, it was tough. I would freak out. I'd be like, oh my God, we're dying, we're drowning. But
Yeah.
I've never, ever not been able to do what I said I was going to do. So I think for me, it's God. I have to just like go to Him and say, hey, this is not mine to carry. And I think that that's like a huge benefit, is to have, whether it's God, the universe, whatever you believe in, have something that you can throw those cares on. Because there's a lot of things we can't control. You can't
Mhm.
control if a tenant comes and destroys your house. I can't control that. All I can do is say, okay, this happened. Let's fix it. We might have to eat some money for a little bit, but I know it's always going to come back, because
Yeah.
money always comes back to you, because if you're giving out of a good heart, it's always going to come back to you.
Yeah.
So I think that through the years, I've gotten better. I still struggle at times. We're always going to have that old mindset that brings us back. But I always just remind myself, what did I do the last time? What
Mhm.
was the last time I had this happen? And then
Mhm.
I remind myself of times where God's brought me out of those situations and where I've made it. And then you're like, I can do this.
Yeah.
I can do this. And that's where the emotional intelligence comes in too, because you can't be swayed by every little thing that happens, because
Yeah.
life is crazy. There's
Yeah.
going to be all kinds of things coming our way. And if we are swayed by every little thing that happens, we're never going to go anywhere. We have to keep swimming, and we have to keep going up that stream, even though it's
Mhm.
hard sometimes.
Yeah, no, it's so true. Yes, I love what you said, that you can't be swayed. There's a million little things that are happening at all times, and you just have to stay the course and remind yourself. But I
Yes.
also love that tip that you gave everybody. Do go back to that situation where you had that before, or something similar, and you say, hey, I made it through this. I made it, and I'm
Yes.
here today. And I've made it from multiple situations like this, where I just had to keep swimming, and I'm obviously still breathing the air, so it worked
Yes.
then, and it should
Yes.
work now. So, but yeah, I absolutely love that. It's going into that, and absolutely using the prayer, using whatever higher power you believe in, definitely works, because yes, like you said, we are not meant to carry everything at
Yeah.
once.
Yeah.
So how do you train your mindset? And especially, like, so many women, I will kind of bring it back full circle, struggle with the sense of worth in general, right? A lot of times I feel like women are not making great money, not because they don't have the knowledge of a skill. They have everything within them, but it's like
Yes.
that sense of self-worth. And like, similar to you, I didn't grow up with money, but then I did come into money when my mom became successful later in the years, but then she lost everything, so I kind of had like a full circle. But it's definitely, I'm always looking at that as sort of, having those role models, and we don't often have them. So how did you train your sense of worth, that I, Kara, am worth of all these things coming into my life?
Oh, I think that's practice. I mean, I still practice that today.
Mhm.
um, but I do think it's that spending time with myself and every morning, and journaling and meditating and reminding myself, okay, no, this is truth, because our mind wants to tell us, it wants to protect us, right? So it wants to tell us all the reasons why we can't do this, why we shouldn't do that, why we're not worthy of this. But if we can come back to those thoughts that say, you're not worthy because, and we say, is this really true? And come back, even journaling that out, like,
Yeah.
okay, let's make an argument against that thought. And then that is how you rewire your mind, is by changing those thoughts. And then you say, no, that's not a true thought. And you begin rewiring those thoughts, because really we are made to create, and everyone is made to create. So all these
Yeah.
women listening, they have worth in them, and they have something inside of them that nobody else can offer. Nobody else has it in them, because they have that special touch to it. They might have the same message as someone, but they have something else to offer. So everybody has something in them. They just need to start believing in that something. And it just takes practice of really, and you have to believe in yourself, because nobody's going to come believe in you. That you might have supporters and you might have encouragement, but it's you that's going to have to rise up, and you that's going to have to take that step every day and saying, I'm worth this, because you are. Every woman is
Mhm.
worth, they're worthy. They're worthy of
Mhm.
success. They're worthy of having money. They're worthy of pouring into people, and their ideas are brilliant.
Yeah. No, I love it. I just literally got goosebumps of you saying this. Ladies, if you're listening, I would save this, or if you're watching us on YouTube, save this last little bit. And I would literally use her. If you don't have a faith yet, I would use Kara saying this to you, like, on the daily. I literally would re
Yes.
listen to this particular part of her saying how worthy you are and how much talent you have, and that every single one of you truly does have something to offer. We are born worthy. I mean, that's not, it's not something you have to earn. It's something that you're
Yeah.
born with, and you need to remember that. So thank you for that, Kara. I really love that. So I know there are always women who are listening now who are obviously are amazed at all the things you've done, all the things you've grown with real estate, and how much you're still learning and growing and offering women to support them and encourage them to step up. So if there is a boss babe out there who is listening right now, but she's in that very tiny little first step where
Mhm.
you were, where you guys got started, and maybe she's about to launch her business and she does have a supportive husband, or maybe she's by herself, and she's, in that moment thinking, am I doing this right? What can I do? So what would be one advice you would give her?
Gosh, okay. Honestly, my biggest piece of advice is to find a coach,
Mm,
find a mentor, find somebody who you can bounce your ideas off of. That is going to be your best investment that you ever make, because that person they've already made all the mistakes. They already know all the things that you're going to go through when you're opening your first business. I mean, the
yep.
things that have happened, and you've heard other people's stories, so you can skip ahead all their mistakes so easily, and you don't have to make their mistakes. It's like a time warp. You can hop right into where they're at, into their mindset,
Yep.
and say, okay, I don't have to make all these mistakes because I can avoid them. So it's really investing really back into yourself by investing in some kind of a coach or a mentor or a mastermind, or even networking, like just get around like-minded people. But I think hiring like a mentor or a coach is probably the best thing that you can do.
I love it. I am so on it with you. I mean, I have not been without a coach or mastermind in the last 8
Yes.
years. And I know you are very similar. So, yes, and I 100% agree, because you are. It's like I love the what you just said about time warp. It really is that. It's
Yes.
literally like jumping so quickly over, and then versus you just running and like barely catching your breath. You now have somebody who is like pacing you, and you're running so much faster. And what I also love what you said is you are sort of borrowing their mindset. You're borrowing
Yeah.
both their mindset and their faith, because one, they've already done it. So their belief is much higher than yours.
Yeah.
And and obviously the mindset, they've gone through so much growth, mistakes, all these things. So you're literally getting a shortcut in your own mindset. So I absolutely love it. Thank you so, so much for your time. Thank you. I mean, it went by like 5 minutes.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it so much, letting me
Yeah.
speak into your girls and allowing me the honor to do that. I love it.
Thank you. And we will put your social media connects and whatever else. And then I think Kara is going to give us a couple of resources, maybe a couple books for them to
Yes.
kind of start with on real estate and on money mindset. So all of that will be in show notes, and you'll be able to connect with Kara and ask her more questions. She's one of the warmest, kindest, most the biggest hearted people I know. So she's a great connect to person and learn from. She's extraordinary. So thank you so much, Kara.
Thank you, Elaine.
Thank you so much for listening to I Start First podcast. If you loved it as much as I did, feel free to tag us on Instagram at IStartFirst_. Share it with your besties, and if you feel so compelled, give us that 5-star review on iTunes. Till next time, and like always, kick ass and sparkle up.